Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the Talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's fall. That means it's Super Meet time in Boston, along with Autumn. And here to talk about this year's Super Meet, the Boston version, of course, is Mr. Dan Bérubé and Mr. Michael Horton, both of the Creative Pro User Group Network. Gentlemen, it's great to have you back, as always.
It's always great to be here, especially on this day, which is, for those of you who don't know, we are taping this today during Hurricane Sandy. And Dan is feeling the brunt of it, and so is Chuck. But I'm sitting here in Los Angeles in 90-degree weather. So there you go.
This might be the last ever podcast I ever do.
It could be. A branch could come through his window. Keep it going. I'm going to close the door.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hi, Chuck.
Dog.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
I put my pugs upstairs so they wouldn't bark because they always do. But it's great to be here again with you, Chuck. We've got a great event coming up here on November 9th, and a lot of people are very excited. Around this time of year in Boston, there's always a lot going on. New England, as a matter of fact, on the East Coast, and events like every other day. But I just actually had a very successful meeting earlier this month on the 11th, and then I've been promoting the Super Meet for the last couple of months here, and we've got this event on November 9th that we're really excited about, and that's what we're here today to talk to you about.
Well, I'm just glad, and of course, I was about to say, if one or both of us cut out, Dan, then people will just have to understand, but if one or both of us cut out, they'll probably never see it, because we'll never release it. So.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just waiting for a big branch to come through one of the windows. And
Yeah, that'd be neat. Like,
A true video guy. He's looking for those special effects, aren't you, Mike?
Yeah, exactly. We'll put it up on YouTube. It'll go viral in a half a second. So
Yeah, right.
the people that make the iPhone app will make it for go-to meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, we should probably. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This year's Super Meet is going to be a little bit different. Mike, you informed me, and I'm kind of curious as to, and let me back up and say every Super Meet's a little bit different, but this year this one's a little scaled down or scaled differently. Tell us about it and why.
Yeah, it's we're calling it a Super Meet-Up rather than a full-blown Super Meet, because the big usual types of Super Meets, if there is such a thing called a usual Super Meet, are usually about 600 to 1,500 people, as you know. This one came about because of the venue that we got, and the venue is absolutely beautiful. It's at the Revere Hotel, and the theater only seats 250 people. And although we can probably cram in a few more, but it's about 250 people, so we decided to make it a more intimate affair. And, Super Meets are always about networking and meeting and greeting and all that kind of stuff anyway. So having a more intimate affair allows everybody a chance to really, really get up close and personal with each other. And we thought this would be a really good idea. Let's test it out. We did it in Austin one time, worked out really well. And let's do it in Boston. And rather than just go out and try to make a huge event out of it, let's make a more intimate affair. And that's what we're doing. That's why we're calling it a Super Meet-Up.
and replace them with every single seat has Wi-Fi for free, electricity that you can plug into. They're couch-like chairs, and then on the front, before the stage, it's all couches. So it's a more.
I didn't know that. Each chair has its own plug, like an airline's. You can plug in your laptop and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's what's really cool. Yeah, what's really cool about it. It's going to be exactly what a Super Super Meet-Up and a Super Meet's all about. It's going to be very social. So people are going to be able to plug their laptops, their iPads, their iPhones in, keep them charged. They can tweet for free because the Wi-Fi is free. Beautiful, beautiful environment. The lobby is decked out as a networking lobby. It's got a built-in bar. This year we decided, and one thing that Mike didn't mention was we typically have what we call a digital showcase with all sorts of vendors and like-minded people that have offerings for us in our community. But this year we decided to hold off on that with this new venue and just try it out and see how this works. And next year come back with a full-scale super meet and workshops and whatnot. So this time around is intimate. We've got a great, I must say we're very excited to have the local community supporting us. We have HB Communications and HB Group are powering the Super Meet with all the AV that we need to make a Super Meet-Up happen. And like I say, I think, all the usual sponsors are there with us. They just don't have tables this time around. We will have in the lobby Blackmagic, Avid, and Adobe that will have tables, and they'll have their partners with them at their tables and whatnot. But it's going to be about interacting with each other, a big show, and drinking, and a raffle.
And we have hors d'oeuvres, and we have
we'll have food there.
We'll have food.
I think those that come to the Super Meet will see just exactly how incredibly cool this venue is. I actually had like 3 meetings here so far this past year. The last one was in June when I premiered the Adobe CS6 Creative Cloud here with Al Mooney from Adobe. We had a full scale up event. We had like 275 plus people there, and we talk about numbers all the time, but when you're in any room and it's full, it's magic because you see everyone's excited to be in there. They've it's kind of like a privilege in a way because they bought a seat and they're able to sit there, and it's not, we used to stream our meetings, but now we're really about having a physical presence and just being there, meeting face to face. And we do videotape the meeting, the event, and we'll have that as a post download. In fact, we did that, Chuck, with our Amsterdam Super Meet in September with our friend Rick Young of now MovieMachine.tv, and he's been putting the Super Meet videos up on his site. And so we're just like retooling in several ways. We always like to stay fresh and, bring the right cast and crew together. And we felt for this event, it was really important primarily for us, since Boston is home HQ for Avid, we have to have Avid with us. And that was big important thing for us. So, and as Mike will talk about right now, we've been very lucky with Avid to have Avid bring onto stage into Boston Tim Squyres, who's the Ang Lee's editor. And Mike, why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, he's done just about every single one of Ang Lee's movies. If you don't know who Ang Lee is, he did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which is for one of them, and he's also just edited, and that'll be Life of Pi. Life of Pi will be coming out in the latter part of November. It was probably one of the most anticipated movies of all 2012. And Tim Squyres edited it, and he's going to be there to talk about that and hopefully engage with the audience in a Q&A kind of session. So we're thrilled to have somebody of his stature be there. Also, we got 2 brilliant filmmakers from New York named Josh and Jason Diamond. And they have been working with that new Blackmagic cinema camera. Do you know that camera at all, Chuck?
I know about it.
Yeah, well, they've been working with it since it's, in fact, they've been working with it probably longer than anybody. And they've been out shooting with it, and they know it very, very well. So they'll be not only showing us stuff that they have shot, but they'll be telling us all about it, what they like about it, and what they probably, may not like about it.
Yeah, they've been. They're going to give the straight up story on it. I actually was very lucky, Chuck, to have one of the first 8 that was shipped out from B&H. So I actually have one of the cameras, and I've been shooting with it. Most recently, did an event with Michael Phillips, who used to be at Avid, who did a supplementing a 2K Avid workflow event last week at one of our local community stores here, Rural Boston Camera. and he talked about what this is all about, how it's a game changer. It's metadata and the use of metadata as an aid to your workflow to make things a hell of a whole lot easier to find things when you're acquiring things, to be able to list it properly so that you have everything set up and ready to go as a palette when you go into the edit. And so that's exciting that we are, focused very much. This is very much a big Avid and Adobe show, and just more in general. Again, right before Thanksgiving, right after Halloween, and to bring Tim Squyres to have an important movie like Life of Pi, which is, as Mike said, it's being rated as and on the epic scale the same as Avatar in terms of, because it will have a 3D component to it. So I'm very excited about that. The other thing I'm excited about is that since Tim is a member of ACE, or American Cinema Editors, this is something that I've always wanted to do here in Boston, is to realize events that utilize the American Cinema Editors talent pool, or the people that have the creds out there in Hollywood, the editors and the assistant editors, especially when there's a big college town here. It's important to be able to have an event when everyone's still at school, that we can offer something that's outreach to them, to inspire them, to get them all jazzed up, and give an opportunity to meet face-to-face with people that they would typically want to work with when they leave their college. So between Tim, the Diamond Brothers.
Yeah, we also got to mention
Right.
Kanen. Kanen,
Yeah.
Kanen Flowers is a terrific filmmaker. He's also the host of this wonderful webinar series called the That Post Show, and also Scruffy Thinking. But he's one of the most entertaining people that you'll ever come across, and he'll be talking about the workflow that he uses to produce this show that he does, called the Scruffy Show, and it's somewhat unique. Anyway, and it's like I think I've said this before: is if you've never seen Kanen Flowers present, then you're in for a treat. And so we got this. So we got Kanen Flowers, we got the Diamond Brothers, and we got Tim Squyres. Plus, we'll have a local show and tell in Boston. It's a really good show. I mean, it's going to be a really, really good show, and something that we can all be proud of, and it's also another opportunity for all of us to get together again.
It strikes me as a great show, as always. That's really not a surprise. But I also feel like I want to do my usual disclaimer here, or whatever, and tell folks that even if you're not interested in doing feature film level stuff, this is still a place to go to meet people and learn. And I've said this the last couple of times we've talked. I had a blast last year listening to Walter Murch. He's obviously, like light years above the level where I play, but I still learned a lot and learned sort of how to think about editing to some degree. And so it doesn't matter if you're doing home movies. This is a place to go.
No, not at all. I mean, this is all about production and post-production, but the particular topics that we're talking about here, we're talking about creativity a lot with Tim Squyres, how he does what he does. And so it doesn't get very technical at all. And with the Diamond Brothers, we're talking about a camera that is for, let's face it, Dan, it's for all of us. And especially
Absolutely.
It's at the price point that is for all of us, and it's going to change for those of we're talking the democratization of digital filmmaking. For goodness sakes, this has taken it up another level of democracy, where we can get feature film quality look out of this affordable camera.
And it's also about resources with Kanen. I've been priming my user group, Bossy Pug, to be all about resources, to tap into the resources within our community. And we're now we're at the point where we're shooting together and working on projects and episodic content. And what I'm excited about is that Kanen's actually working on episodic content. In fact, he's got a 12-episode web series called Hero Punk that he'll probably talk about. And I think that's important. You're talking about Hollywood, but Hollywood's here. Hollywood's where your story is.
Right.
When a story's good, that's Hollywood. And I think that when you see what the people there have to say, there's a mixture that blends together that really makes you feel good to be a storyteller. And so I'm excited about that, and I especially like the fact that everything that's together really gives you some empowerment to go out there and think about what you can do to be a resource in your community. So when we have people in our event, it's very dynamic. There's people that have all sorts of talents, and if you learn to talk to each other, that's the most important thing. To shake hands and to meet and greet and to be up face to face, ask questions that you want, and leave with answers and inspiration. So that's always been our staple. And but again, I think that what we've got lined up on our stage for Boston is a good one. We haven't even talked about what our local show and tell is going to be, and we'll reveal that in the next couple of days. I like to say that
so it's not out yet.
Well, no, we're still looking, and there's so much talent in Boston. It's just a matter of picking one.
Right, you're right. And there's some great communities. Like I said, HB Group, HB Communications have always been if they weren't helping us, we wouldn't probably be having a Boston Super Meet right now. And then there's the other people like Imagine Magazine is really out there to promote the event. Mass Production Coalition is promoting the event, and so what we like to do is every time we go into a city, we try to utilize the local resources that are available. When we're in San Francisco, we'll be working with Claudia Krask. We'll be working with the Bay Area Video Coalition, all the different community groups down there to get the word out that we're having a big top event on that night, and then all come and have a great time. So. Yeah. And we always talk about this, but I still think it's a really important message. Everyone says Hollywood. Okay, that's great. Hollywood is still very important, but when you think about the amount of talent that is in Boston, in New York, in Amsterdam, in London, all the places you all have taken the Super Meet and plenty of places beyond, that's what is great about this. It's not like you're forcing everyone to fly to a particular city on a particular day. You move this event around and make it accessible to everyone.
No matter where you go, you can go to. It doesn't matter. So you can go to Fargo, North Dakota. There's an extraordinary amount of talent up there. It's just if it were, if possible, we would love to do super meets everywhere, but it isn't. So we have to pick and choose, and just hope that people will come from at least within the area. But there are all these local groups all over in every city in the United States and around the world, and it's just a matter of people getting out of the house and going to these events, because it's like that. I've said it a billion times. You never know who you're going to meet that's going to change your life, but you got to get out of the house to do that. And
absolutely,
and that's not easy for a lot of people, especially creative people. They're more comfortable in front of their computers than they are going to these kinds of events. So,
well, and unfortunately, we all get busy, and you think, am I really going to get that much out of it?
Yeah.
And you will. It's worth the effort, because you get out, you meet people you wouldn't have met otherwise. You probably are going to get a couple problems solved. I know that happened to me at the Super Meet. It's happened to me at the last couple Super Meets I've been to. There was something I wanted to do, and you ask a couple people, and somebody has a solution, or refers you to a product, or knows somebody that knows how to do it. And
right, and not only that, not only can you get your problem solved and help others solve their problems, but if you're really serious about this as more than a hobby, you can get work. And Dan and I both have over the years, we can't tell you how many people, just by going to our meetings time and time again, have gotten work, just because it is a collaborative medium. And it's they have met people that need their expertise, and they go to these places to get others that have expertise, and it's a collaborative thing, and so you get work, and that's really important. It's because networking, oh boy, you can't overemphasize the word networking. It's huge.
Yeah, I'm really excited again about just the whole. Being able to have tools that are affordable to create content, and how the rules are really changing in terms of distribution, where your content's going to show and will be distributed and whatnot. We learn that every time we get together at a Super Meet. I'm really especially, again, excited to have Kanen with us, Kanen Flowers, because he's got, content out there that he's very. If you look at what he's doing, there's a lot of people in our community that want to do work like that, and I hate to say it, but not necessarily depend on the fact that you have to go to Hollywood or you have to be working with a studio. The studio can be right behind me if I put up a green screen, or in my basement if I put up a green screen. And with a camera like the Blackmagic camera or the other cameras that are out there, and just the NLEs that are extensive and really, working more collaboratively together. I think this year, this is the last Super year, and look to next year, because next year you're going to see a lot of advances with the NLEs on all the sides, and there's so many cameras out there, but I think that people are going to learn more how to use them when they need to use them. Some people will always be, I only work with this camera, I only work with this NLE, but the smart people will know how to use them creatively at the right time and working together and decisively together. And that's what at least I try to do in my user group meetings locally, is try to focus on the resources that are available, try to realize the strengths of the members that are in the group, and then work creatively together and have conversations that keep people talking after the meetings. That's important, and that's what we try to do with the Super Meets as well.
And get out there and experiment. I mean, this show has been an experiment, because I'm still trying to figure out the optimal workflow to give the best visual to my audience, and it's not easy, because I'm trying to do something that not a lot of people want to do, and that's just me doing this. When you start broadening it out, looking what people really want to do in person, it's another matter.
Yeah.
Something I'm curious to get your take on. Mac people are always very fond of saying, gee, my iPhone has more computing power than NASA did when they put a man on the moon in the 60s. What we have now available to us at a minimal cost is more than so many of the great filmmakers had. I mean, Hitchcock never had this stuff. Coppola never had this stuff early in his career. That was one of the things I took away from Murch's talk last year, that you don't realize just what is available to you if you will just get off the sofa and learn to use it and play with it and try something.
One of the best documentaries of the year, the majority of that documentary was shot with this, an iPhone. And it's a good possibility that documentary might win an Oscar. It was, I can't remember the name, it just went right out of my head. It's about that this black Bob Dylan he released a record that never went anywhere here in the United States, but was huge in South Africa. He became this Bob Dylan-esque figure in South Africa. Then he disappeared for like 40 years. And,
are you talking about is it a female?
No,
filmmaker?
no, he's a guy. I don't know. I don't think. No, it was a guy from Sweden, from Norway, or Copenhagen, or something like that. Anyway, he filmed the majority of it with an iPhone.
There's also another female cinematographer, filmmaker that just recently did a film entirely on an iPhone. I'm actually, I feel embarrassed because I don't remember her name. I'm supposed to be meeting her when I go to Santa Monica, and it's incredible. It's funny. The people that I usually work for, Kanen, they had checked in with me, saying, "Are you okay? How's the storm? Just send us a quick email to let us know you're all right." I replied back and said, our hatches are battened down. Happy Halloween. And they replied back, saying, "Well, don't be tempted to go out and shoot it and whatnot." And what did I do? I did it probably about 3 hours earlier. I went out with my iPhone, and I just got the new iPhone 5, and I noticed the difference in shooting video with it. I noticed that when it's a lot easier to hold. It's a lot more stabilized. The picture quality's nominally better, but I just think that Apple's really got it set up right. In terms of this tool, like it or not. A lot of this is going in this direction. And, what else just came out? The GoPro Hero 3.
Yeah.
It's a 4K camera. People hear that 4K, but...
It's a little dinky thing.
I mean, it only shoots 12 to 15 frames in 4K. but that's usable in certain shots or environments or whatnot. And then it's also a 2K camera. And so again, where the industry is going, I mean, don't laugh. I mean, did we ever? Would you have laughed maybe 2 years ago that you would be shooting video with a phone, or even I can see an iPhone having 4K camera in it. It's going to happen.
Well, that's the buzzword for next year. It's been the buzzword a little bit this year. All the major television manufacturers coming out with their 4K televisions. Of course, they're not affordable, but
Right.
they'll be coming out with them. And that's now that 3D is no longer the buzzword. It's 4K is the buzzword. And of course, there's not a lot of 4K content out there, but there will be.
Right.
And so there is no excuses, like we've said. There are no more excuses. If you've got a good story, you can film it on this little thing, and it'll look fine. And it won't sound fine, but you can supplement that with external audio. So it's just there are no excuses. It's just if you've got the good story, go out there and tell it. Change the world.
I was just at the documentary summit in Boston 2 weeks ago, and they're again talking exactly about this. But work with people, form friendships, and learn how to do a film, whether it's cinema verite or whether it's actually a scene that or a script that you break down into shots. Learn how to do that. There's so many resources available now, and don't even feel daunted if you don't know any of that. If you can turn on an iPhone, you can turn on a camera. If you can point it at someone, you can then be a filmmaker. If you've got a camera in your hand, don't listen to what anyone tells you. You are a filmmaker. You are a storyteller. Now, how good you tell that story is up to you, based on what your ideas are, or how passionate you are about storytelling. But
and that storytelling, Dan, when we first started talking a long time ago, I sort of didn't get that, because I think that a lot of us not schooled in movie making think of a story as something I go to the movie theater to see, or I turn on TV to see, and you don't realize that a story can be something as simple as your kids' play, or the local civic movement to build, I don't know, a park or something. A story, it doesn't have to be written up and like you say, scripted necessarily. There are a lot of other ways to look at it, and that's something I've had to learn and start to appreciate that. Storytelling means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yeah, if you take the idea of the school play, I mean, find a way to do it that is not only compelling to you, but compelling to everybody who watches it. And then you start to get into the storytelling. Think it through before you actually go out there and start to shoot it. And then you can get a compelling story of that play.
And there's groups out there. I was very fortunate to have known a storyteller here who was a very well known here in Cambridge, Mass. His name was Brother Blue, and he used to tell stories. He used to have meetings every week at Harvard, where you'd get together and just go and listen, and people in the room would sit and they would each take a turn and tell a story. Some wouldn't be all that good at it, but someone would have you either in tears, the lean forward moment, listening, excited, laughing, and it's always, there's always a way to start, with things. My wife Katie just got laid off from work. Well, this is a great opportunity for her. She's taking an art class at the Cambridge Arts Center for Arts, and continuing education. She's taking a writing class. Don't think that this is not available to you. There are ways, between what's available now, the traditional training out there, to the free resources. You go into any square in a city, there's bound to be somebody that gets together every month. There's meetups. There's continuing ed classes at schools and colleges, and even at churches. There's a way to get out there and get your thoughts out of your head, to listen to people, and then to understand where it can all go. Because it's definitely, I took probably about 50 pictures today of the storm outside, and I was doing it with my iPhone. and the thing's so fast, you keep pressing the button and it keeps taking pictures, or you take video, and who'd ever thought that you could do that? So, I mean, and then I also, one really, and I don't mean to monopolize the mic here, but one other thing that I did was I volunteered myself to work on a documentary production. Big Top Without Borders were 2 circus troupes that come to Boston for the week to be filmed at Emerson College with high-speed cameras, and they had interviews. They went to the Boston Arts Academy. They went to where is a high school in right across from Fenway Park for inner city youth, and it's like straight out of Fame. You go there and you see the kids and what they're doing, and it's exciting. So I mean, the cutting to the chase here. Spent a week with them taking stills. All the pictures that I took today, they all tell a story throughout the week. So we're talking about how to help them raise money. We're taking those photos and we're creating a story out of it that we're going to let people know. And that's another way of telling a story. It's, you hear the buzzwords transmedia and you know, multimedia, and you know, it's not just video. Stills can be video as well, and it's all about the passion of hearing a plot or a story, you know, something that excites you and holds your interest.
Well, let's face it, and Mike, I think you would agree with this. Dan and I are sitting in the middle of a hurricane-affected area. A lot of the major media is going to be tapping resources shot by quote-unquote common people using cell phones. I mean, it's not even cameras anymore. It's the cameras within their cell phones, because it makes it easy to move back and forth. The most compelling photos you're going to see coming out of this event, however it plays out, good, bad, or indifferent, are probably going to not be taken by professionals. They're going to be taken by average people who happen to be right there at the right moment with a camera or with a phone or a camera, video or still.
Yeah, the most compelling pictures that people are getting are the ones from their iPhone, simply because it's a lot easier to carry those in your pocket than it is a big DSLR. And so why not? YouTube is very popular because it's bringing in a lot of really, really good stories, whether it be a cat doing something cute or whether it be something else. But these are captured on these little things because it's handy. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's not going to be a lot of great shots out there with the DSLRs, except for the pros who want to, you know, get out there. But the majority of those good images are going to be right inside somebody's house. Right. And those are the stories too. Those are the big stories of this whole storm. And I wish you guys, you know, best of luck, and because it's about to hit big time right now, right?
Right. I mean,
which is the perfect time to tape this.
Yeah. I really wish you could hear all the. My house was built in 1927, so you're hearing all sorts of things right now. The windows are rattling. I hear some wood hitting each wood planks or whatever. I don't know where these sounds are coming from. And I went outside and saw shingles on the lawn. I hope those shingles aren't coming from my roof. But.
Well,
yeah.
Before one or both of us lose power, Dan, or Mike or whomever, how about the specifics of this event? Where, when, how much, the whole thing?
In November 9th, which is just right around the corner, and we expect a very dry super meet by then. Everything will be back to normal. All the power lines will be back up, and everything will be working. So it's November 9th at the Revere Hotel, which is down right in the center of Boston. And it'll start at 7 o'clock with the doors open at 5:30 for that ever-important networking part of it. And you can get your tickets for only $10 if you're an adult and $7 if you're a student. And just go to supermeet.com to get them. And since this is only a limited amount of seats, we've already sold quite a few of them. So if you're really interested in this, you better get your seats really quick, assuming you do have power to get them. Or once your power comes back up, go to supermeet.com and get your tickets.
Yeah, item number 1, go shopping. Item number 2, get Supermeet tickets.
Yeah, and more batteries for the next
one. More batteries, yeah.
And what we always like to do is for all you fellow Mac Voices listeners is to give out a special discount code. So Mac Voices VIP will get you 30% off. So it's a $7 ticket instead of a $10 ticket. And I know there's a lot of you out there that be listening that might want to come or make the trip to Boston or whatnot. So Chuck, I'm sure you'll promote that on your webpage and whatnot, however way you want it. But Mac Voices VIP gets you in for $7. I would act fast because, again, this will be a full event and a great one.
Well, as always, I really appreciate that. And folks, that just means that Dan and Mike just bought you the ticket and the first drink. So,
Absolutely.
That's right. The first drink, anyway.
There's
Before I forget, I got it because I know you're going to Macworld, right? Or Macworld iWorld is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
I'm the speaker.
We are announcing the San Francisco Super Meet, which will be the day before it starts, January 30th. So we expect you to be there.
Yeah.
With your iPhone, taping everybody.
Yes.
That's Wednesday, January 30th.
If you can make it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to know that because I'm ready to make my flight reservations. So you just
same venue will be at the Mission Bay Conference Center, which is always a fun venue to be at.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's January 30th. I believe that's the day before the Macworld iWorld starts. I think that starts Thursday. I don't know.
Yeah, it does start Thursday, but I think that's the right date. Yeah, great.
Okay,
great. All right. Well, I will definitely be there if that's the case. And I'm just sorry I'm not going to make Boston this time, but it sounds like another exciting event.
It's going to be a good show. It really is.
We'll make sure you get there next year if you're not here this year, and you'll see the videos and whatnot and the pictures and yeah.
And thank you, Dan, because I will mention I'll put links in the show notes too. Don't you all have a Super Meet channel on YouTube, don't you?
We do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a great place to go and get a flavor for these things, see some of the highlights of the past, and keep up with the present and the future. So I'll make sure that they can find that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Dan Bérubé, Michael Horton, thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Chuck.
Good luck with this one. And Dan, I wish you luck with the rest of Hurricane Sandy, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, I wish you both luck with that. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Folks, this is Mac Voices, the talk of the Mac community. I'm Chuck Joyner. We will be back again soon. Thanks for watching. Mac Voices TV is part of the Mac Voices Group at MacVoicesGroup.com. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at BackbeatMedia.com.